Welcome back. This is another Benjamin Michael production. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk about the last video a little bit. All right, let's dig in here. Good man. All right, I'll like that one. Man, that's awesome. Hopefully you get better soon and sort your mental health. That's funny. That's one of the focuses of this video is mental health and how mine is so great, which I did mention in the last video that like I'm living my best life considering, and we'll get more into that later. Basically all good comments, which I'm happy to see. Honestly, I have been blown away at the reception to that video because I tried making YouTube videos before, and yeah, you know what I think it is that there's a point to this video. Well, I was doing YouTube videos before, and I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna like do whatever and call it whatever, but then like the algorithm didn't know what to do with that. It's just like, okay, so it's just this random video about basically nothing. Don't know who to push that to. So that probably explains that. But there was one other thing I wanted to talk about though. There was one comment that was generally positive, but he did say, like, we don't care that you're gay. I kind of took that in a negative way, but I know what he meant. And so I wasn't like, oh, you don't care that I'm gay? Well, it's important. I'm like, no, it isn't. It really isn't. Except that it kind of is because, well, if you watched the last video, you would know that, like, if I wasn't gay, I wouldn't have cared to insert myself into the trans debate, you know? I wouldn't have gotten that transhumanist furry telling me, sadly, most of you cis gays are transphobic. And like I said, that was a moment for me. All right, now we're getting into the meat of it. The Dave Chappelle thing. Yeah, I obviously talked about the Dave Chappelle special in the last video and how that was foundational to my transformation. The one thing that I didn't explicitly say in the video is the reason that that was foundational was because I heard about the special because of the outrage and the claims of transphobia. And then I watched it, and as I said, I found it deeply moving. And I was like, Dave Chappelle tells the story of his trans friend who committed suicide and how that affected him. And to think that that was, they're calling that transphobic hate speech garbage, like, that's insane. That's insane. You want to talk about confused? Okay. I just had to get that off my chest because it's like, I don't believe Dave Chappelle is transphobic. I also don't believe J.K. Rowling is transphobic. If you want to have a conversation about who are the transphobes, I can tell you who the transphobes are. I know who the transphobes are, and it's not J.K. Rowling and it's not Dave Chappelle. I did want to mention, because I talked about Dave Chappelle, the Bill Maher, and then the transhumanist furry who said, sadly, most of you cis gays are transphobic. It wasn't like I had that interaction and then suddenly I just started down the road of being conservative sympathizing. There was another interaction that I had with this lady who I guess did a lot of like public policy work on HIV back in the day. And I encountered this lady on Twitter a short time after I encountered Hatpin Woman on Twitter. And she's on Twitter now. You can go to her Twitter and check out her pinned tweet. It's what piqued me. And if you don't know that term, I'll talk about it in a minute. But so I encountered her on Twitter and I read through her pinned tweet and I was like, oh my God. Like rape crisis centers getting vandalized with like trans women are women and like a dead rat with a knife through it, like stuff like that. It's like, that's bonkers. And like, obviously that's what women, real women, are upset about. Stuff like that. And, you know, me being kind of still a leftist, but kind of having been like, I don't know what I am right now, but at that point in time, 2022. So I encounter this lady who's like a professional and she's done all this public policy work on HIV. And I wanted to make a good impression on her. I wanted to engage with her in a constructive way. And I had all these ideas in my head from Hatpin Woman. And I saw some post of hers, I don't remember it now, but I wanted to leave a reply in her feed, something just nice and like I said, I wanted to engage in a constructive way. And so I said, like, cis women just want spaces that for just cis women. And you should be able to understand that, right? And she just, like, I spent like probably a half an hour sitting there like crafting this reply that I thought would be like, yeah, we can start a dialogue. And what I got was her basically just flaming me and writing in all caps, "Trans women are women!" And I was like, wow, that went well. And it's funny, this actually is the reason I think that, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that Hat Pin Woman follows me on X, because that having just happened, I think at the time I had notifications turned on for Hat Pin Woman's tweets. And so Hat Pin Woman tweeted something, and I just wanted to share that quick story of how I tried to engage with this woman, and she just flamed me and hated on me. And Hat Pin Woman had the best response. She was like, you know what's funny is if you put on a dress, she would worship the ground you walked on. It's like, oh man, you're right. Anyway, the term peaked. I said I would talk about that. Let's talk about it. Some people think that being gender critical means that you're in a cult. I don't see it that way. But anyway, all peaked means is basically once you wake up to the insanity of the modern trans movement, that's called peaking. And I'm not here to peak you. I'm not trying to do that, honestly. If you get peaked by watching my content, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to get you to hate trans people. Okay, I don't need to get into all that. I could make a whole other video about just the trans stuff. Someone in the comments called me a libertarian, where they sort of implied that I'm libertarian. I wrote this in my notes. I honestly don't know. Like, I know libertarians are very much all about limited government. I don't know that I'm like passionate about limiting government. I don't really know what I am. There is that old saying, when you're young, if you're not a liberal, you're heartless. When you're old, if you're not a conservative, you're brain dead. And I don't know, I definitely sympathize more with conservatives these days, especially because I was someone who was saying Twitter isn't liberal biased. I honestly believe that, but it very much was. We know this now. Thank you, Matt Taibbi. Okay, moving right along. Hopefully you get better soon and sort your mental health. It's funny that person wrote that because I've been to the psych ward twice. And this was something I wanted to touch on more in the first video. Like, this is actually something I forgot to write down, forgot to even think of to say in this video, but I'm thinking of it now, so let's talk about it. Like, when I say I was a leftist, I had Trump derangement syndrome, like, as bad as you can get it. And I briefly touched on the fact that in 2020 I was in a weird place. I was living in the house where my sister unalived herself with my mom, who was obviously very traumatized. I had just come out of a kind of bad situation, and we were going to move back here to Arizona. We were planning on not being there long, but then COVID happened, so we were stuck there for like a whole year. And I started spending all day, every day on Twitter, and I got radicalized pretty quickly. And it wasn't just the Trump derangement syndrome. Obviously, the grief was a factor, and there was drinking and stuff. All of that kind of coalesced into a situation where I was crazy. Like, I wanted to go to the psych ward by the time I went. And I don't need to get too into that stuff, but just suffice it to say, I was definitely a leftist. I was definitely a sufferer of Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, I could do a whole video on like just how effed up that whole situation was and how crazy I was then. I was vegan then too. I think that kind of actually made it worse. So, but the second time I went to the psych ward was in 2023, and it was the trans stuff, really. That was the, like, the first time the Trump derangement stuff was kind of the driver. The second time it was actually the trans stuff. I had been soaking my brain in all of this, you know, gender critical TRAs, this and that. And I had been involved with Gays Against Groomers in 2022. And that was actually like good. It was, I sort of had community in the activism that I was trying to do. But then some stuff happened in December of 2022, and I kind of felt like I had to leave Gays Against Groomers, so I did. And then so in 2023, I was just trying to kind of do my own thing with activism. And that's all I did all day, every day was, and like I said, I was making YouTube videos that no one was watching. So I was very isolated, and before I knew it, I went crazy and wound up going to the psych ward here. And they put me on lithium, and that was fun. I'm being sarcastic. No, that was really bad. That almost took me out of the game. I'm not on any psych meds now. I got off all that stuff 2 years ago now. Wait, yes. Jesus Christ. For a second I was like, what year is it? It's almost 2026. But yeah, it was 2 years ago. It was actually like 2 years ago, like 2 years ago, I was like, oh my God, I didn't think I'd ever be off the lithium, and Zyprexa was the other thing that I was on. It was I felt like I was like in a fishbowl. Like I couldn't give a shit about anything. And anyway, I could talk more about that, but I won't. Yeah, and then the grief from losing my sister was a factor in the second time that I went to the psych ward too. Yeah, pretty much just like that's the thing about grief is you can think that you're all better when you're not. In 2020, I was more of a mess than in 2023. I was a little more grounded in 2023, but like I still like thought my sister's actually still alive in 2023. Like, yeah, and you talk about like the 5 stages of grief and denial. I never really experienced denial like when it happened, but I definitely experienced a form of denial with my delusions that my sister wasn't actually dead. For sure, that's for sure denial. Anyway, I think we're pretty much done. So we talked about politics, talked about mental health, well-being. This is the last thing we're going to talk about. Because I said in my last video, I said, I do so many things. So I just wanted to like kind of talk really quick about what I do for my well-being. Because it is so many things. Like I was kind of just doing this and that at first, but then stuff started like lining up, and now I'm just like regimented. I do stuff every day. Like I wake up, I drink 48 ounces of cold brew coffee every day, and I'm not saying that's like something that makes me healthier, although I don't want to like plug specific products with this talk about well-being, but let's just kind of run down the stuff that I do, I guess. Well, like chiropractic, that's one thing. Getting adjusted regularly has a lot of benefits. The wobble cushion is something that I do. The wobble cushion is actually huge. Like chiropractic alone is not necessarily gonna help you. You have to do other stuff too. Cause like, not that earlier this year, I was getting adjusted regularly, but I wasn't doing anything like, I wasn't doing wobble cushion. I wasn't doing any kind of stuff outside of that. I would just go get adjusted, and that was it. And one day I was walking into work and my back just like spasmed. I almost fell down in the parking lot because something slipped, and then my whole back just spasmed, and I was in a lot of pain for like a week or something like that. But I kind of like listened to my body and stuff like that, and I realized, I was like, I have that wobble cushion. I bet that would actually be amazing. And like as soon as I sat down on it, I felt and started moving, I felt stuff start to like come back into place. And I do it like 4 or 5 times a day, 10-minute sessions now. And basically every time I get on it and start moving around, I get these pops in my lower back that feel so good. And like it strengthens everything up. And it's like, for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be on that wobble cushion doing that. Anyway, that's not the only thing I do for my well-being though. So like when I wake up, I drink 24 ounces of cold brew coffee. And then with the remaining 24 ounces, I put, it's this stuff, cocoa flavanols and flavonoids. Blair White actually advertised it, and I was like, I want to try that. I think there's there's something in it that I need. So I ordered some, started doing it, and it was a little tricky at first because it's the powder is very like hydrophobic. It does not mix easily, but it does work very well with I buy a 48-ounce thingy of cold brew coffee, and like I said, I drink 24 ounces. I drink 2 cups first thing in the morning. That time is my time. It's very like meditative, and like it doesn't like give me energy. Like it doesn't wake me up. I'm already awake. I'm already like fine. But like it's the dopamine. Like every sip is just like, oh yeah, dopamine. Oh, I love it. And then like when I'm working on my second cup, I go over and I put a little funnel in the top, and then I pour the powder in, scoot it into the thing, shake, because like I said, you have to really shake it a lot to get it to mix well, so that you don't have chunks of dry powder in your coffee that you're drinking. So there's first coffee and second coffee every day. The second coffee has the cocoa flavanols and flavonoids in it. When I started doing that stuff, I noticed that because I work in customer service, I noticed that like I had more positive energy with customers. Like that was the only like definite change that I could appreciate, like, because I wasn't working out at the time. But I did notice when I started going back to the gym that it helped in the gym. Like it helps with performance. Like I want to push myself more in the gym now that I take that stuff. So I talk about chiropractic and the cocoa flavonoids. Another thing I do every morning, 2 big scoops of psyllium husk. Down that, wait 25 minutes, and then drink quickly a kombucha. Do you know 70 to 80% of your immune function comes from your gut, and that prebiotics and probiotics create that synergy, and that feeds your lymphoid, so your lymphatic system, and that's like how you have immunity. Plus your serotonin. Yeah, like my mental health is actually really great because I do all this stuff every day. Keeps me in a really good place. That's what I alluded to in the first video, and I wanted to kind of get into it a little bit more, and I have. Oh yeah, and then like other stuff, like, because I used to brew coffee, like we have Keurig here. I used to just brew a cup and then put heavy creamer in it, sugar, and then I would go to work and have this horrible stomach ache. And anyway, stock cold brew coffee. I used to drink that in 2019, and then when I wanted to get off sugary coffee, I was like, I used to drink stock cold brew black. And I actually enjoyed it. Because I've never been someone who could enjoy black coffee, but cold brew coffee is different than drip coffee. Anyway, and I switched to a cereal that's no sugar added. It's Kamut or Korasian wheat. It's not very, it doesn't taste very good, but honestly, I kind of like the taste. It has like kind of a nutty taste, and yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, and I take ancestral supplements, beef tallow, and collagen, living collagen. That's mainly because for the collagen I mainly take for my skin, because I was after the lithium, or like while I was on lithium, and then even for a long time after I got off of it, I just had horrible acne. Never had such bad acne. And then this thing with my eye, I'm pretty sure the lithium caused that, which I didn't talk about, but it was horrible. I had this, it's called a sty. It just kind of appeared one day and then it got huge. Anyway, that's as much as I need to talk about that. I didn't need to talk about it. Whatever, it's my life. Talk about it if I want to. Okay. Oh, and compliment. Back from my vegan days, there's this company called, is the name of the company Compliment? I think it is. Anyway, Compliment Essential. It's got a bunch of B12 in it, because, you know, vegans need B12, or not B12. No, yeah, B12. I don't know. D3, B12, selenium, zinc. It's basically a multivitamin. It's formulated for vegans, and I started taking it when I was still vegan. And I stopped being vegan, and I was going to stop taking, I tried to stop taking the Compliment, and I noticed I was just like, I have no energy and I hate my life. So I was like, so I still take it. So after I do my first coffee, psyllium husk, kombucha, cereal with supplements, that's when I take the Compliment. That's when I take the Compliment, the beef tallow, and the living collagen. And then I have second coffee after that. And that's how I do. Oh yeah, and then there's all that, and then I started doing this Kai organic stuff that they sell at Costco. It's just this powder that's got like 52 superfoods or something like that. I do that every evening. So I drink 2 liters of water a day, and anyway. I try to drink clean water. I don't drink water from plastic bottles anymore. I try to reduce microplastics as much as I can. There was one other thing that just popped in my head. Oh yeah, the Dr. Huberman thing. I was watching the Bill Maher show, and when Dr. Huberman was on there, because I don't know of him otherwise. I should probably check out his podcast and stuff like that, considering. But he talked about how going out in the morning and in the evening to just go outside, face the sun, and just, don't look directly into the sun and be like, ow, this hurts, it's burning my eyes. Like, to kind of look down, but the photons hitting your eyes, I guess it does like all these things, and that actually like ties everything together. And I was like, I need to do that. And now I fiend for the sun. Like when it's stormy and there's cloudy and the sun's not out, I'm like, oh. And when it's clear, I'm like, sun. Like I don't even know, I can't even put my finger on what exactly it does, but it just energizes me. It gives me life. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you so much. You watched all of the video that will exist once I edit it and post it. This has been a Benjamin Michael production. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day and a great life in general. Cheers.